What is going on, YouTube? My name is Jim, and today I'm going to be discussing Wolfenstein II: A New Colossus. Hey, did you subscribe to my channel yet? If not, please do so as I continue to march towards 1,000 subscriptions. Now let's get right into it. New Colossus frustrated me so much because I know it could have been a better game, and frankly, it's a hot mess. With the exception of a few amazing mind equals blown moments and some gorgeous game footage, this game has significant issues with mechanics, pacing, and overall narrative, which reduced my final enthusiasm of this game dramatically. Even in the end credits, literally in the song that was played in the end credits, the game continues to show you just how poor its design decisions are. Why are there no level selects in this game? With that, I'm going to be jumping straight into spoiler territory, so if you have not played the game and you don't want it to be spoiled, turn this video off. For everybody else, here we go. Let's discuss mechanics first, because it's the first thing you're going to be introduced to as you begin to move and explore through Nazi-occupied America. The shooting mechanics in this game are off. Auto-aim is on by default, which is the first red flag that some assistance will be required. Precision headshots are difficult to utilize because of some weird controller dead zone calibration. Instead of direct target acquisition as with most other games, this game forces you to sweep your movement back and forth through enemies instead of shooting directly at them. The decision that the developers included dual wielding clearly supports this. It should not take half a clip from two machine guns to eliminate an enemy, but yet it does. The sheer amount of ammunition and armor that is spread across this world clearly supports this design choice. I am entirely convinced that developers knew that the mechanics of this game were poor, and they did their best to distract us. On the subject of mechanics, I was not a fan of the forced stealth into an otherwise run-and-gun game. Again, the game struggles with what I consider things like clambering over railings and small objects with extreme difficulty. It's almost as if the game didn't want you to do these things, but then simultaneously forces you to do so. Enemy commanders, which are telepathically linked to every enemy on the map, with the slightest detection or any sloppy takedown, suddenly go nuts and the alarm goes off. And when this happens, enemies are infinitely sprung and they begin to fight you. At this point, you must abandon the otherwise broken stealth mechanics and revert back to run-and-gun tactics. It's a contradictory nature between stealth and the frantic gameplay which we expect, and this is jarring, and it does not flow well. And really, who the hell wants stealth in a Wolfenstein game? This game handles itself well enough, but these are baffling choices. I would have much rather been given cooler movement abilities or better weapon abilities than any introduction to stealth at all. Pacing is equally frustrating. There's a level towards the end when you have to get on the U-boat. If you remember this, it's towards the end. They shoot the nuke off, and then eventually you have to go to Venus. Now, it's really cool because you get to see this really cool scene with Adolf Hitler, and you have to act out a scene, and it's fun. But I want to tell you something. That is a 50-minute clip of the game without any action. This is unacceptable in a game that is about shooting Nazis. This supports the greater problem that I have, that the game's cutscenes are far too long. I understand that the game is trying to sell us on a plot with robust and rich characters, and that is one of the greatest strengths of this game. But the characters ramble on for far too long for things that are far too inconsequential to the experience. How long did I have to listen to the doctor rambling on about the strange alien artifact that's recovered in Roswell? This item was never used in the game. They talk about it, and they talk about it, and they look at it, and they scan it. It is never used. It has no bearing on this game. I assume it'll be part of Wolfenstein 3, but save it for Wolfenstein 3. Additionally, there are a lot of times you're going to spend walking around this complex U-boat, and I'm going to be honest, that is a straight-up monotonous chore. Nothing is more riveting than ending a mission by spending 15 minutes on fetch quests in a shooting game. Now, it was a nice touch for them to include the shooting range, because squeezing off a few thousand rounds helped me vent off some frustration as I had to walk down hallway after hallway hunting for NPCs without quest markers in a multi-leveled submarine. The level design was so poor that even the Nazis were able to hide in the submarine's Section F, while you recovered from a coma for over 5 months without being discovered. There were Nazis living in the sub for 5 months. I mean, after all, there was an old bookcase blocking the door, so, I mean, of course they could hide, right? This leads me to my final point, which is the narrative. And I'm not sure this game wants to take itself seriously. There are some amazing character arcs, but their poor outcomes is what the lasting impression is. I'm going to give you a couple examples. You have B.J. Blazkowicz, the broken soldier, who suddenly becomes a poet on missions. He talks about being the concern of leaving behind his 2 unborn children in a cruel world, literally falling apart, held together only by Carolyn's supersuit and her overarching leadership qualities from beyond. BJ struggles with the burden of supporting the resistance and being there to support Anya. But then his head gets cut off, and he gets a brand new body, and that entire plot is dropped. How about General Engel, the ruthless leader who is so blinded by Nazi pride that she rejects her daughter. Rejects it. Just flat out, how mean is she to her daughter at the beginning? That the fact that her daughter defects and works against you. When you, at the end of the game, when you kill Engel, her daughter shows no remorse for her dead mother. General Engel, always one step ahead of BJ. Cunning, ruthless. She executes you violently. She executes your friends violently. And then how does she die? In a talk show, unceremoniously. Technically, she does put up a fight, wildly shooting at you as you approach her with an axe. But apparently at this point, her killer instinct is completely removed. I stood there in front of her and laughed and strafed left and right as she shot at me. Yet there was like literally no damage happening to me. I was just standing there. This ruthless leader who, single-handedly makes BJ's life horrible. When she's like stunned, she pulls out her gun for her last-ditch effort to stay alive. She just stands there and shoots at you. She devolves into a standard NPC and is killed in seconds. She deserves a better ending. How about we talk about pregnant Anya, who gets sexually stimulated while fighting? Or the undesirables that are forced and walled into New Orleans. Do you remember seeing that? You remember hearing them talk about? Some of them actually are executed in front of us. Whatever happened with those guys? BJ just walks through like, hey, look at all this travesty going on with these people in a walled-off city where, we gas them out and we systematically kill them. Oh, whatever. How about the resistant leaders that are gathered for this final confrontation? You have to sneak in and rescue all these people to build up an army to fight back against the Nazi machine. Besides a few fetch quests on the U-boat, these guys are irrelevant. And at the end, it's you, B.J. Blazkowicz, alone in Venus doing all the hard work. You're fighting the machine solely. So why spend all this time building up all these characters for this army if they do nothing? Do the American people even want to be saved? They don't seem too much to care about Nazi occupation to me. And this game has ample opportunity to explore these fascinating issues, but it fails to deliver every single time. And those end credits, another attempt at being edgy, but that cover is flat out hellacious. So again, I'm confused. You pair great gameplay and the groundwork for an amazing tale, but then you throw it away for some cheap laughs and some poor dialogue. If this game wants to be taken seriously, the tone doesn't help me understand that. Either BJ is a rambling poet asking for guidance from Carolyn, or he is the supposed new Colossus that literally smashes through walls and crushes the Nazi occupation single-handedly. Either way, the resistance is not really resistance at all. They just seem to be filler quests, and they ultimately take a backseat to when things matter the most. And there you guys have it. My thoughts on Wolfenstein II, A New Colossus. Yes, I was harsh on this game because I think I need to be harsh on this game. There are some redeeming qualities, obviously, as I mentioned before, but you look at the whole package and it's really hard to justify why this game got the Metacritic score that it did. I must have missed something. So whatever you think I missed, sound off in the comments below. Tell me how great or how horrible I am at my analysis of such games. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there and start your own revolution. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.